My name is Shane, aka DJ 211. Company is the Soundlab, and I'm rocking with McGriff.
The block hot, the block hot, the block hot, the block hot. Hey, hey, I got the block hot.
What's going on? Soundlab has been open technically since 2015. We started, the foundation of it just kind of started in 2014. What I mean by that is we had a location, we had a team that actually came up and developed the name of the Soundlab. That was developed in 2014, but we actually didn't open until May of 2015. So we've been in business since 2015, I would say. It's funny because I'm like a late bloomer. So I started DJing when I was 31 years old. I had already been in the financial field working. I was like an HR generalist by trade, and I like music, I like people, I like seeing people happy. So I pretty much was like, let me try a DJ. That's kind of how it started. Then I had one of my friends, shout out to Massive 617, named Sean Penn. He kind of like took me under his wing and kind of taught me. So it started with DJing, and I fell in love with it. And then my business mind kind of changed everything, because it pretty much was like, I'm 31, there's 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds that can DJ better than I can. How can I be competitive in the market of DJs? Because it's already saturated and crazy. And then he went to school for DJing, but not in Mass, in New York. So he was driving every day, every Sunday to New York, which was crazy. Driving all the way to New York, then coming all the way back to Brockton, or Taunton, where we lived at the time, to go to work the next day. And then it just sparked inside of me I'm an entrepreneur. I didn't find that out until I was 34 years old. And then I created the Soundlab. And so I say that all because my passion is probably, I want to say I'm still evolving, because music is really what I'm into, but I like to see, I want to be like a facilitator for creatives. So it evolved from just being a DJ to actually being the person behind the scenes to make all the musical things happen. So that's kind of the passion.
So listen, real quick, while y'all are eating, as you know, I'm an engineer, producer, artist, whatever you think, you can make it. All right? So from Monday on, I will no longer be recording in my old studio. I'll be one of the engineers here at the Soundlab. So y'all can go check out both rooms. If you're an artist, producer, engineer, y'all can go check out both rooms. They will be done completely by Monday.
That's the thing about it. I didn't know. It sprouted just by me starting to DJ. Started DJing, and it was just like it just opened the floodgates. So now I'm here. It's crazy how, like, growing up, I just went to high school, went to some college, worked because I had to work. I always had to work. Kind of hopped in the music field, and it just kind of paved the way for my mind to really open up. And once it opened up, then it was like game on. So it took me about 3 years to get the Soundlab created, to get to the point where I knew what I wanted to do. I was working a full-time job. I loved that job. And I just said, you know what? I didn't like what I was going through. I was making decent money, but I didn't like the morale of where I was at. And I was like, you know what? I called the wife. I said, you know what? It's my time to go. Left, and I've been here ever since. And we just evolved from there. We got more space. Then the creative mind just happened. And then I wanted to be different. Like, so basically, DJ school is DJ school. But what about producers? What about recording and engineering? I wanted to put it all in one place. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like where my drive really is, and it still is there. I was like, wondering if that shit worked or not. Oh, now you with the shits, never mind.
I just don't have the flex.
Rap segment here too, or ciphers. This is Blue Room. We got two studios, two booths, or two engineering spaces. This is the Blue Room. Both rooms have the same. They have a Raven MTI in it, curved LG monitor, the Apollo Twin quad core. We're rocking with both rooms got the back minis in them. They're everything but the solid state. So it's like the best one you can get besides solid state. So the old spot, it's a long story, but I'll condense it. The old spot, it was almost like, it was a blessing for it to be around as long as it was, because when I first started, the place was kind of in despair. There was, violence upstairs, there was drugs everywhere. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't really know about what was going on. I just knew that the building was looked at, was kind of frowned upon, but in an urban area, which is not frowned upon. So my objective of the building was to just get in there. The space was beautiful. The location was great, right by the bat bus station, the police department. So safety was there. Kids could come right off the bus, off the train. That was the original idea, was to get in there, kind of change the culture of the building. And ultimately, the owner of the building wasn't taking care of the building. And the city shut the building down. The crazy thing about it is, if you look at it at the surface level, it's in the enterprise, it basically says the city shuts down the electricity of the Soundlab building. But inside, if you read the content, the mayor says, had nothing to do with us, it was the landlord, right? I personally felt like we were kind of blindsided, because I had dealings with City Hall. I was doing the Brockton Farmers Market. Right at City Hall, 2 days later, I did the Farmers Market. So, in my brain at the time, I'm like, why didn't you guys just give me the heads up? But, they pretty much said that they couldn't tell me, which, I'm fine with now. But in the paper, it made it seem like it was a Soundlab building. We were only one floor. You know what I'm saying? That's the E True Hollywood story. We were on the first floor. Whatever happened on the other floors, we had no control over. And it was the landlord that wasn't taking care of it. And when it all went down, they were cool. The city was cool. The fire department was cool. They called me. They didn't bang my doors and all like that. They called me, let me know what was going on with the court with them. They gave me more time. So at the end of the day, it's not really their fault. They got to do a job. I understand it. If I was doing something wrong and something happened, okay. It was just unfortunate how it happened, because, I felt like the enterprise put it in the paper the way they did it, because we're the Soundlab, but the only name that could be identified, as opposed to this saying 157 Center Street. They had pictures. Now, if you look at the paper, right, I got the paper saved, but they have pictures of the upper floors. And there's like beer cans and all kind of, it looks crazy, like it's not even like a place to run business. There were dogs in there, all that. They took no pictures of the first floor, none. They made reference of there may have been some construction going on that wasn't, they didn't have a permit, which, okay, that's not anything that's violent or something that, but that's all they made reference to, but no pictures at all, because the place was great, My problem with them, I'll just say this, my problem with the city is I'm not really, I'm a vocal person, but I'm not really controversial. I don't really want to throw anybody under the bus, but my thing with the city is, if you thought that the place was bad, then how about try a solution? If I'm working with kids and youth and parents and all that, let's work together, try to find a solution to move me somewhere else. Instead of, like congregating together to get the building shut down. What if there was kids in the building? We had no idea, you know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing that, it bothers me still, is let us know what's going on. Don't keep us in the dark. And I'm actually promoting that we make them here. So if people need bass traps, we make these and we can hang them, right? Booths are kind of plain. We got to add some bass traps in the back of them. They're over in the corner. We're working with TLM 103 in both rooms. 5s, and then we got the Yamaha HS7s, so I think the HS8s. Yeah, so that's in the blue room. Everybody likes the blue room because it got the white lights, it got the white accents. I mean, people, honestly, I wasn't really there for a lot of the recordings. But, you know, we have a lot of people that came through the building. You know, like Latrell James came through. He was one of the people, and shout out to Latrell. He was one of the people who kind of like, he identified area of need, which SYT was Speak Your Truth was created for. So Speak Your Truth was a creative, like open mic type of an event. And him and his, Jessica, his manager, they helped us kind of put that all together. Then we have some local people like Luke Bars. We have a lot of producers like Magic on the Beat. But my brain is kind of like right now, it's full blown on getting more people and being here more hands on. Because the last place I was more in back of the scenes and not really in front of the scenes, which is why I don't really know a lot of the people who recorded. So Stanza's over at Dover now. He was the person who did the recording. He was our lead engineer. So he would know, he has all that base of that. You know, it's more, you know, in the back. So, but now I'm here. And I'm on a hunt. Then we got the red room. Pretty much same design. Raven MTI BX5s, but we have the 4 cabs in this room. Still Apollo Twin. And then we have like the black and the khaki color bass straps in here. My goals are just to, you know, carry out what I wanted to do from the get-go. You know, in 2014, it was like 11 of us that sat down in the room and we talked about, you know, what we wanted to do. So when I first moved into a building, it was just myself, the co-owner, who was RX Pandemic. I'm gonna show him out. You know, he and I, we sat there, and then we brought in Massive, my DJ that kind of mentored me. And we had so much space that, you know, we was like, we could do DJ school and production school and record. Well, it's the same thing. You know, 2014, we're in 2019 now, you know, and my division is stronger than ever now because I have a real focus right now on recording. I really want to do a lot of recording. That's kind of like our main thing, because I feel like if we can record and a heavy interest on production, right? Then we can kind of like pour the resources into trainings. You know, the idea is kind of like to make people want to come here. You know, I don't want to do all this work and not have great sound, or do all this work and just, you know, play around with producers. I want serious people who are doing serious things to come here. You know, that's the only way we're gonna really thrive. You know what I'm saying? And then we funnel all that stuff back into training, production, DJing, you know, artist development. So my goal is still the same. It's just I'm going about it a little differently. You know what I'm saying? And this is a performance space. So this is performance / artist development space where you can be on the stage, you can be down here mingling. We're gonna do a lot of events. So you could do, you know, this space right here is designed especially for creatives, like if you're trying to do like open mics or listening parties. So artist development, you know, simply from being on this little stage right here. Somebody might have stage fright. You know, a small spot like this, even talking in front of a camera like this. We could put 5 chairs, have somebody on the stage, and have them speak. Something small like that is artist development. When you go on a bigger stage, what are you gonna do? You know how hard it is to perform in front of 5 people in a quiet room? You know what I'm saying? So things like that, mic control, you know, even going in the booth. Some of these artists have never actually been into a booth. You know, they have a whole bunch of stuff they wrote, but never been into a booth, you know. But I want to really get into kind of developing artists as well. So probably in the future, kind of look out for us to start probably trying to get some artists to come in here, probably take some artists into the Soundlab, you know what I'm saying, or the SL, and kind of like develop them, kind of make them our artists. So that's kind of like one of my things. And, you know, I got a interest in publishing, you know, kind of the business behind the scenes, because I think, you know, most young people especially, and older, lack knowledge of, all right, so you're nice, what are you doing next? And that's, I feel like, when they start delving next is when some of them get in kind of some trouble, or they make bad decisions, or they make good decisions. But I just want to be another resource for that, you know, like almost like an end result. You can not just develop here, but your end result can be here as well. And, you know, we can prolong that end result. Like I was saying earlier, they are nervous about anything they can get on stage and practice. Stage is also good for jam sessions. But on the stage, eventually is going to be stationary, where it's going to have drums, piano keys, and guitar. You see a guitar right, one in the corner over there, that's one of them that's going to be here. And it comes equipped with, you know, we got the QSC sub, the K10 high, and then DJ setup. Good thing about the Soundlab is everything in here can be moved. So basically, you know, we was teamed up, and that was kind of like the best way to kind of get out, was to get in front of the youth. And I still feel like, you know, I still feel like we need to be in front of the youth. But, you know, I have to be careful about what we do, because adults wouldn't come here because they thought we were just for youth. You understand? So it has to be real strategic in how we present who we are. So as much as we are here for youth, we're here for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So that's my next venture. So after doing all this work in here now, the next venture is really to get out and, you know, get things going with the youth and adults. So you can come here one day and see this place completely set up like this. The next day it can be completely empty. So it's this ideal space. Then you have the artwork. Let's talk about the artwork. So, shout out to Self-Made Designs, Zach, Cody, OK in the Corn, Coma, Croc. Yeah, it's funny because Self-Made, they have like a quote similar to ours. So I think the quote is just like us, because I have an interview, it was on Channel 5 News some years ago. It's on the webpage, but it's like a gym for music. So, you know, everything about, you know, basketball, video games, you do your homework, same thing here. Except it's just we're a little different in our approach this time, because we're a little more serious about, not saying that we weren't serious before, but I think our core before was just to get the youth in. That was serious, and I think that was a combination of myself, some of the members was like, we gotta focus on the youth. And I do want to focus on the youth, because I think that, you know, it's important that we are here for the community, for the youth, for people who don't know what to do or have, you know, they can't play the sports. They want to do something else, you know. Even if they can't rap or sing, they can come here and just enjoy the scene. But this time, you know, it's, you know, I want to be memberships, people who are really serious about doing their music, you know, and a slew of other things too, you know. Yo, they came in here, we asked them to come in this, originally started with the marathon theme, because, you know, to me, this guy right here, who is Nipsey Hussle, this guy's a visionary, you know what I'm saying? So I know people talk about like where he comes from and things that he was doing and gang related and all that, but he was promoting positive stuff, you know what I'm saying? So coming from a bad place, changing life around, making everything good, and being, you know, somebody who inspired other people. Inspires me, younger than I am. No. Want to talk about it? So I grew up in Heat Street Projects. I don't know if you know that's at, but that's in JP, right? And I mean, I didn't grow up, I guess I grew up, you know, in a bad area. It was kind of violent. I moved out to Brockton because my brother got shot 9 times at Jackson Square, which is around the corner from where I lived, by Academies. So I moved out here, and I've been out ever since. But I don't think either one of my parents, my father, I didn't know my father. I was raised by my stepfather. My mother was a single parent, you know what I'm saying? But there's nothing like traditional about my story. Everything is different, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. And it's dope. Then over on this wall over here, we got the marathon. Marathon for many people. All right, so real quick, who runs a marathon? I've never run a marathon. The marathon is crazy because it's almost like giving your all, being the best you can be. You know what I'm saying? What it takes for you to actually run a marathon is you're giving everything you have. So it inspires me to be the best I can be. So until I'm done or dead, I'm not gonna stop until I'm where I'm supposed to be at. It was originally like thought of as like a lab because we had everything. So it was like a lab filled with everything, like the antidote. You know what I'm saying? So the lab name came, and I think sound just came because of this. You know what I'm saying? Because we was originally trying to have it where we had like microscopes and a whole bunch of equipment around, but with a musical theme added into it. And then we just came up with the Soundlab, and the Soundlab name itself, we just derived that into its own name and own logo. I mean, I would like to shout out everybody so I'll go down the list. My man Scales, jscalesjr.com. He's great designer. Does a whole bunch of, from business cards to flyers to murals on walls. Going to RX Pandemic, Apex Hades, Track Fiend is actually, we taught him how to DJ. So he's right now DJing out, doing his own thing, but he's still part of the lab. I also want to shout out, the original crew, like Birds, Sliced Bread, Dark Prince, Magic on the Beat, Nina Lore. And then I want to give another shout out to All Rhymes. You know All Rhymes. So enough said. He's over at Dover. Yeah, so All Rhymes. Me and RX, we started with All Rhymes. So that's what our start. So that was my first start in the studio with All Rhymes. And then we ended up going over to Center Street. So yeah, that's pretty much the evolution of Shane / DJ 211 / the Sound Lab. Yeah.
Hey, we're in the Sound Lab right now, right? So we're gonna do something real quick. Big up some instrumentals. Any niggas that wanna get on the mic and spit some.
Say less, 211, say less.
Shit,
Say less.
Yo, hey, 30 minutes. 30 minutes.
Talk.
Any niggas wanna get on the mic real quick? If we can just go real quick around.
I guess I would say to answer that question is, when I first started doing what I was doing, somebody came in, this guy who my boy put me onto, and he pretty much was talking about what he's doing and what his format is, and he pretty much said, I'll never forget it, he said, you're crazy, right? And I said, what do you mean? He said, you're crazy. Because he said, by talking to you for this few minutes, I can tell that there's nothing that anybody could tell you that can change what you're doing. So my thing would be, once you get something in your head, go for it. You know what I'm saying? No one can tell you what you can and can't do. Reach for the stars, whatever you want to do it. And if something happens, still going. A lot of people, once something happens, when they hit, the reason why the Sound Lab is really here, right? And what I wanted to do was, if you have artists that hit that wall, well, what are you gonna do? You gotta go around it. You gotta go over it or under it. You can't just say, well, forget it, I'm gonna just wrap it up. Do something else. If you're a rapper and you're 45 years old, right? Or 50 years old, but you still wanna be in the industry, do something different. Stay in it. Recruit some of these young people that can rap and feature. And you know what I'm saying? There's so many different ways to do it. So that's kind of like how I live my life. You know what I'm saying? There's always obstacles. There's always gonna be obstacles. But you can always get over those obstacles as long as you keep your focus. You know what I'm saying? It's easier said than done. Sometimes it's hard, but you gotta just keep on pushing. Now, and if I'm still on camera, I'll just give an example. For instance, the last Sound Lab building closed down in October last year. I turned 40 last year. I'm showing my age right now. Last year I turned 40, September. I got back from Miami. It was a great trip, by the way. I got back from Miami, and within a month, the building was shut down. We're in April. Well, we just started in May. But in 4 months, pretty much 4 months, it went from that building shutting down to me finding a place and building it completely brand new. You know, later on we'll probably take a view of the building, but you know what we did in a short amount of time is an example of of who I am and what I'm capable of. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like you'll see. I always tell people, no one knows who I am, but people will learn. They'll see later on. You know what I'm saying? Somebody at some point in time will learn or understand what's going on with Shane Gooding. You know what I'm saying? So. Five years from now, I just want the place to run itself. You know, I want to have, you know, I basically want this place in New England to be known in New England. So when you come down here in New England, you have to come to this place, to Soundlab. I gotta go there because something about it, I heard something about it is crazy. You know, I want the teaching, that whole aspect, I want that back in here. But bigger than that, you know, I want the Sound Lab to be like everywhere. So there's a lot of places that nothing like this exists. So when I first started this, nothing like this ever existed. You know what I'm saying? You got your Stacey Adams building, right? Which gave almost like a format of somewhat like this, but everybody's doing something different or the same thing. And it's, when you go in there, it's like a hallway and doors. You got to go in there to create a space. If you walk in here, everything's open. That's the difference between the Sound Lab and the spot like, you know, Stacey Adams building. Not saying nothing wrong about them. I think it's great what they're doing over there. But if I could put something like this in Plymouth, put something like this in Hyannis, the Cape, you know what I'm saying, Worcester, and it don't got to be all of this. It could be a booth, could be teaching DJs, you know what I'm saying? That's really what my goal is really kind of almost like there's a central place and it's branching off into communities. Go to Boston, you know what I'm saying, get in those places that is very youth-based attention needed, I want to put them. Because some of the places should just be for youth. You know what I'm saying? This places happens to be for everybody. But there should be some places that just for youth, you know what I'm saying? After school programs, things like that. So this place is really like, it's almost like we went down and came back up better, you know? And now it's just game time. Well, everything you see right here is the Soundlab. My man McGriff rocking with us today. Thanks for coming out. You see us.
Without your love, I would be fine. At times I wonder where you came from.
I'm dying for the beat. I ain't lying on the screen. Never switch up on a brother. Never snitch up on a brother. And I'm dying on the scene. All for the cream. Shit, you stepping out of line, nigga. But when I make it, best believe my nigga shine, nigga. Don't try and intervene. Cause you know this shit is mine, nigga. Roll the window down, I see the nigga that killed my nigga. No rewind, hold it tight, empty clip. Killer's mine, hatred's blind, blood is thick. Shots fire, pop tigers, nigga, what is this? My chest warm, I got hit. My niggas see me die and pass me his breath, so watch this. Rest in peace, my nigga. All the times that we spend together, I still think about it. All the rainy days, how we make it through the pan. All the days you said you were just let's talk about it, oh, let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it.
Check cash in for homies. Still dug in the law room. Walking with a better scoring. Better son at the door. DCG got a notion. How the fuck he a
still in love with you. You got me fucked up. I can't sleep, I can't breathe. All these emotions got me fucked up. So baby, come home to me. Just hold me, please. Baby, just hold me, please. Yeah, I still love you and I hate it. I can't get over you. I'm still in love with you. You got me fucked up. I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't breathe.
Hey, I got the block hot, I got the pie hot. We got the chop blocks, the set up the chop block. You a couple. I can't ever be the one to let you go. But I had to leave you falling like I've been hungry for your God and the go. Yeah. Tell them how it is from the jump. What? Running through my motherfucking city, here we come. Let's go. Ain't no one. I'm filled with the bag. Hey, come to my ass, daddy, just with the bag.
They don't know the pain that I carry. 2017, I lost my brother, can't believe he's 6 feet under. So God took it all from me, told you what he want from me. Yeah, I'm broken, my soul is thrown in the ocean. Now I realize she ain't know me now. You ain't even hold me down. What's really going through your mind? Cause you ain't never give me fucking time. Sick of the way, living for days, seeming a maze, go through a maze, hitting the stage, minimum wage, cooking the pay. The bigger the base, they getting the hate from people I love, but playing it safe. Call me a rape, I'm hitting the state. I'm calling the Jace, wait, I'm doing a race. I'm catching the case, take K with a cake. I'm doing a race, look, in R.I.P.H. you ain't in my grace. You'll never be great. Sit go!
Shout out my nigga Chico. Tell him Chico said it. Let them hear Biggie's words, man. Let them hear Biggie's words. Hey, yo, bring that back one time. I want y'all to really listen to this.
Hollywood Hogan.
Ready to live.
We gonna get that. We know that. Tell him she knows something. You know that.
This off my EP dropping September 11th.
I want some ice, baby. Huh? Send me a deal, yeah. I can send me a bill, yeah. You're Friday, feel, yeah. You're Friday, feel, yeah. I'm in the game, new bed, bro. Nobody's expecting like rich, bro. You got me a whipping in two-tone. Gonna make you a snow cone. Hey, shout out to Poppy. Ice everywhere on the back, little body. Light it up, blind. Take it out on the bottom beside you. Bring that shit in my jewelry, special that shit like gold. I keep going to catch this, baby, I do no toe. I see you later here, but you still won't. All my Facebook page, you hate that sticks me stole. Fighting, but it's the gang over everything. I'm married to the money, nigga, fuck a wedding ring. I've been going in, nigga doing me, running up a check, fuck the jewelry, I lose it. I'm still in the trenches, but niggas I die for. Eye for, no question I die for. Lost a couple niggas, get blunted and high for. Niggas go to war, they know that I buy for. I put $1 in the drink, loyalty in the crab bucket. I know some niggas sitting something mad fucking. Could've been right here on the game, on the lid with the gang. These waters and I'm clean in the game. I've been fucked over, left for dead, this shit forgot. Right now, they hope that I be going different right. I know these niggas is hot. Jealousy over some change, never forgot. Sky ain't the limit, it's a point of view. And we got a different point of fucking view. I like my woman face down, ass up. And watch a young nigga get his cash up. The sky ain't the limit, it's a point of view. And we got different point of fucking views. I like my woman face down, ass up. And watch a young nigga get his cash up. Hold up. Cash up, cash up. Watch a young nigga get his cash up. Cash up.